Welcome back to another live feed on Shaman's YouTube channel. It's gonna be the final one of the year. Excuse me, final one of the day. Excuse me, final one of the day. It's gonna be about a man, very underrated producer. You talk about producers musically. They don't talk about Nick Martinelli, underrated music producer extraordinaire. As you see, in the thumbnail, this guy don't get enough credit in a sense on the service being one of the great producers of all time. This guy made it happen, going back to his days with working with groups like Loose Ends, other artists. His great work was with them and other artists, but he's very underrated. You talk about the great producers of all time, they're not gonna mention him. They're gonna talk about the Quincy Joneses. They're gonna talk about Teddy Riley when it comes to R&B music and producing those kind of records. They are great and rememberable. But this guy, Nick Martinelli from Philadelphia, that's where he was born at. And he was born in Philadelphia. I was looking at his background. But anyway, he worked with so many pop music artists, R&B artists in the 80s. And some of them from United Kingdom, from overseas. Loose Ends, Phyllis Hyman, Five Star, Stephanie Mills, and Regina Bell. And some of your great artists and stuff that he did, he contributed to. As a teenager in 1969, at Chip's Warehouse was the independent record distributor for Motown. He was promoted to warehouse manager as developed an understanding of distribution and retail sales. In 1977, Motown rewarded Nick's diligence by giving him additional responsibilities handling dance promotion for the Northeast region, covering the territory from New York to Washington. It was in the clubs that Martinelli found an outlet to express himself creatively behind the turntable. So in 1978, WMOT Records hired him for a national sales position, listening to an A&R position a year later. This enabled him to sign and develop new talent in Philadelphia scene at the time. Influenced by the sound of Philadelphia, Martinelli credits Dexter Wansel for his technical studio training. And rest in peace to Dexter Wansel, who passed away on May 31st of this year. Rest in peace. He was an R&B, jazz fusion singer, arranger, musician, composer, conductor, synthesis, and A&R director. He was 75 years old. Rest in peace to him. Unfortunately, he passed on May 31st. Anyway, although Martinelli and WMOT did well in America with Frankie Smith's Double Dutch Bus, it took a trip overseas for him to create a niche for this production style. So he produced Act Like You Know and co-produced Zoom for Fat Larry's band, and it rose to the top of the British pop charts in 1982. Martinelli then spent 2 years remixing many hits for various artists, including the Ray Parker Jr. hit Ghostbusters. He also produced and mixed a record by a female rapper, Lady B, called To the Beat Y'all. The music was actually from another song that Martinelli produced, Everybody Here Must Party, by the sibling girl group Direct Current. It peaked at number 21 on the Billboard Disco chart back in April of 1979. But throughout the 80s and 90s, Martinelli continued his streak of producing an array of hits for a variety of artists. So we start with the 80s now. He's best known for working with successful English R&B band from the UK named Loose Ends during the mid-1980s. He produced two of their all-time biggest-selling albums. So Where Are You in 1985 and Zagora in 1986. So Where Are You included Loose Ends' biggest hit to date, Hanging on the String, Contemplating, which reached number one on the Billboard Hot R&B Hip Hop charts, songs chart. So Zagora, the next album, featured another highly successful hit, Slow Down, which also reached number one on the same chart. He also worked with members of Loose Ends on Five Star's debut album, Luxury of Life, released in 1985, which included hits like All Falls Down, number 16 in 1985, Let Me Be the One, number 2 in 1986. Then in the mid-80s, Martinelli's accomplishments continued, producing some of the most talented signature vocalists in music at the time. How about Stephanie Mills? Number one song and single for I Feel Good All Over and Home. Nick Martinelli produced this. This came out in what, 1987. He produced that. Nick Martinelli. Last Night in the Pips, All Over, All Our Love album went gold. It's in 1987. He produced track number 5 and 6. He did Let Me Be the One and Complete Recovery. Teddy Pendergrass, he produced that album. Joy, that came out, what, 1987? Let's see what songs he did. I don't see his name up here. He's a producer. I don't see what he produced. Like I said, he produced that album. Thanks for hitting the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Then he did Mickey Howard's Love Under New Management and Baby Be Mine. He produced that. Mickey Howard, very underrated singer. I mean, this guy was amazing. The production, Love Under New Management. Baby Be Mine. That was noticed of the second album, 87. Then in the 90s, he continued to put together a lot of hits. Regina Belle, Stay With Me. That was the #1 album. Scoring 2 hits, including a Grammy nomination, Make It Like It Was. He did that. Phil Simon, Don't Want to Change the World. That was a #1 hit. When you get right down to it, that was a top 10 single. So he just had those hits they was making at that time. This came out in 1991, in June of 1991. Don't Want to Change the World. So he just had that modest touch to put together great, great production for artists. In 1993, he relocated to Los Angeles, where he wrote and produced songs for Jamanda, Regina Belle, Robin S., Howard Hewitt, Gerald Austin, Lulu, RuPaul, Shaka Khan, Chris Walker, and Diana Ross. In 1988, Nick Martinelli received the Philadelphia Music Foundation Award for notching the most top 10 singles in 1 year. 2 years later, they honored him again by naming him the best urban producer. In the UK, he was always included in the blues and soul top producers list. This guy did some great stuff, man. Okay, the Teddy Pendergrass album he produced, This Is the Last Time. Like, everything he touched turned to gold. This guy's underrated, criminally underrated. You talk about Nick Martinelli. They're not going to mention him when you talk about the underrated producers of all time. That's why I wanted to do a story on him, do a live feed on him, because he's very underrated. Talk about the big name producers. He definitely made an impact on the industry, man. Definitely. You talk about Nick Martinelli, he made an impact. But he never gonna get, his name's never gonna be mentioned as one of the all-time greats. But he definitely in the UK, as far as working with the British artists like Five Stars, especially Loose Ends, and his work with them, especially Loose Ends, reshaped the landscape of black music. It reshaped it with weaving lush orchestra arrangement with the smooth soulful grooves of R&B. He had a signature sound, policy motive, and steeping the rich legacy of Philadelphia soul, a defining era. Recording again, producing for Stevie Mills, Regina Bell, Mickey Howard, Phyllis Hyman. His artistry, man, what he did was definitely unique. But he's underrated. I think he's underrated. He's never gonna be up there with like Quincy Joneses of the world, which he should be, because of the things that he did. It was amazing. I just think that when you make great music, as far as producing, you become underrated. I think he's in that underrated category when it comes to the great producers in the history of music. And obviously, people back then knew how big he was at that time for what he did in the 80s and the early 90s. We look at overall for like great music producers, he don't get mentioned. Might not get mentioned, hypothetically speaking. So I just want to do something to educate my demographic. So I see the demographic. You probably don't know about this gentleman, Nick Martinelli, what he did, but he made some great hits. So that's it, man. I'm done. My final live stream for the day. I'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for the person that hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. More content coming tomorrow. Stay tuned. I see the channel growing day in, day out. Appreciate it. It was a great month of May. I saw the information with what's going on with what took place in May as far as the viewing of my channel. It was in record numbers. So I hope that'll be the same this month as well. So thank you for supporting the channel. Until then, talk to you tomorrow.